Okay, we're recording.
Okay, please stand for a flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can everybody remain standing for a second? Our longtime attorney, Joe Ragnow, passed away this week. He's been with the borough over 10 years. He was a big asset to us. He did a lot for us. Can we have a moment of silence for him? Thank you. In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed or well requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Bennon.
Here.
Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Devine.
Here.
Councilman Giaconetta.
Here.
Councilwoman Palladino is excused.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
And with us this evening is our Borough Attorney Dave Ruttenberg and Kevin Boyle, Administrator.
Okay. So we're going to start off with the presentation by our great Hawk students and club, who I know there's some members here. Why don't they come forward? And what I'm going to have you do, if you don't mind, before you do your presentation, just say a little something about what your club is, if you don't mind. Okay? Whoever wants to.
All right. Hi, my name is Janine Riccardelli. I'm a teacher at the Pompton Lake High School and also the Hawk Health and Wellness Coalition advisor. Our mission is to basically promote and stress anti-drug and alcohol in the community and the school. And this year we also are taking on another initiative of mental health issues. So every year we go to a teen summit twice a year. Once a year out of those 2 times we compete for health and wellness with other health and wellness coalitions for either anti-drugs and alcohol, or this year, as I just informed you, it's mental health issues. So our video is going to be presented to you by Marie and Emma. So that we're actually going in the competition with against 25 others.
And how many members you have in the club?
We have about between 20 and 25.
So for the public at home, we're talking about high school students who have the strength to come out and fight something that's a tough time at that time of the year. So I give them all the credit in the world for being involved in this club. It's 22 strong that they started and grew this club from a couple members to where they are now. And I know it's a bunch of kids in school always asking to join and be part of it. So it's huge that we're doing this. Through the help of our alliance, we work together with them that this group moves forward. So we thank you, and you can pass that on to all of them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our mission in conjunction with the Pompton Lake Prevention Coalition is to create awareness in the community to reduce underage drinking, marijuana use, the misuse of opioids and prescription drugs, heroin use, and new and emerging drugs.
That's the microphone there, so just...
The Passaic County Teen Summit is held biannually in the spring and fall with 250 high school students representing each of the 25 high schools in the county. Goals of the summit to empower students to make positive decisions, to empower students to resist peer pressure, to empower students to be active in the community. Objective of the competition is to create a 90-second video. And I want to please remind you that this is a video that we have to squeeze in a lot of information in it, and we have only 90 seconds to complete it, which supports the mission of substance use prevention, mental health awareness. Our submission is called Life is Worth Living, and it's focused around mental health awareness. The Pompton Lakes Health and Wellness Coalition, Pompton Lakes High School, this school decided after the Passaic County Teen Fall Summit to create a video, PSA, that would relate most to us, and more importantly, relate to our group's efforts this year. This year, our group is organizing our first ever stigma-free walk at our local sports field to reduce the stigmas associated with mental health and substance use disorders. Part of the stigma-free initiative is raising awareness of the local mental health and recovery resources available so that no one needs to feel hopeless, in isolation, or shame. This was used as inspiration for our PSA. Our video PSA focuses on the challenges a teenager is facing who is struggling with her mental health. School pressures such as studying and testing triggers her anxiety and stress. She has no idea how to handle her situation. That is until her teacher encourages her to go to a counseling center. This helps remind her that her mental health should always come first, and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with going to counseling and seeking help. She starts to do better in school, and she eventually becomes a doctor, helping others with their physical health. As an adult, she continues to get help for her anxiety by going weekly visits at a counseling center. Throughout this video, she is reminded of the phrase, "Life is worth living," to show that there is always help available and that no one should be ashamed to get it.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, this is only 90 seconds long and tons of information, and a lot of time went into making this, even though it's a very short film.
Give me 1 second, I just want to turn that
Oh,
so the
okay.
council can see it. I might be too short to reach that though. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, here we go. I'm not sure why it's skipping. Don't worry about this. All right, okay.
How are you doing today?
Good to see you again. I know that you've been stressed and anxious, so maybe you could tell me how you're feeling today.
I've been feeling so good. I just finished my residency, so that was great. I just had a job, so I'm able. Thank you, and this is your video.
Do you want me to?
I don't know, any council, anybody have questions or comments from the council? Yeah, we'll get it.
Okay. Thank you so much. We hope to get first place this year. We got second place the past 2 years in a row, and we're hoping that this year finally we can get first place. So, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, awesome job.
Yeah,
Thank you, it was very good, thank you. Okay, we also have a proclamation I'd like to read, but I'd like to bring up Ted.
I have it over here. I'm going to be joined by Liz and...
Councilman Riker's going to read this, Councilwoman Riker's going to read this, because she's a member of the Women's Club, along with Liz and Kathy from our office. They're also members of the Women's Club. Are you in the Women's Club, too?
He's a designated photographer.
All right, I was just asking if you're in the Women's Club, that's all.
Ask the same question. All right, go ahead. You do that first.
Okay, we have a proclamation. I'm a member of the Women's Club, and these two ladies, Liz is the clerk, and Kathy, who is the assistant clerk, are both very active members of the Women's Club, so they're up here joining me. Whereas art education contributes significant educational benefits for all elementary, middle, and secondary students by developing students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities, teaching sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities, giving students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs, reinforcing and bringing to life what students learn in other subjects. And whereas, and for the lease of art education, form the basis of world-class standards developed by the U.S. Department of Education, National Endowment for the Arts, and the Council for Arts Education, and whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including art experiences in all students' education, therefore, resolve that support should be given to art teachers as they attempt to strengthen our education in the schools and communities. All residents of the borough of Pompton Lake are urged to take interest in and give full support to quality art programs for our youth. Now, therefore, am I doing it?
You go ahead, you can finish it, you started it, you finish it.
Okay. I, Terry Riker, on behalf of Pompton Lake Town Council and residents of Pompton Lake, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2020 as Youth Art Month. Okay, did you look to the, Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And pass that on to the Women's Club to thank them, please. Okay, before we open the meeting for public comments, I just want to address the public a little bit about the coronavirus situation that's going on here in town and everywhere else. You know, it's constantly, and anybody's welcome to stay early. You know, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting unless you want to. We are following the guidelines. We've had numerous meetings, which I'll talk about in my report, but we're following the guidelines from the federal government and from the state on what has to be done right at this time. It's a constantly changing platform. As things change, our job here is to inform as best we can our residents about what's going on and what has to happen. But the end result that we can say right now is everybody should be using common sense and obviously washing their hands as often as they can. And if you have any health concerns or health issues in any shape or form, you should be contacting your local physician and speaking to them. They will give you the guidance on what you should do. What you should not be doing is just showing up in an emergency room or a doctor's office unannounced if you have a concern. You should be calling them first, letting them know what's going on. They will then give you guidance on what to do. So we have had calls here at Borough Hall, and I'm sure the school has had their calls, and this is the information that we're giving out at this time. This can change, but right now this is where we are. I am in a conference call tomorrow with the mayors of Passaic County and the administrator of Passaic County, and we're going to be discussing more about what the county's going to do. So as the information comes available, we will make it out there. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? Councilwoman Riker.
Second.
Councilman Bay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up. Right here, right there.
Okay. Is this the microphone?
Yep.
Okay, hi. So my name is Richard Brummel. Do I need to give my street address?
Yes, you do.
Uh-huh. Okay, it's 71 Q Avenue in Pompton Lakes. Okay, so I want to speak for a moment about pedestrian safety in this town. I've only lived in Pompton Lakes for about 2.5 years now. I lived in New York City for a very long time. I actually read a newspaper, Queens, that I started. One of my main focuses was pedestrian safety. I was there during the Giuliani period when hundreds of people were killed every year. At this point, there are less hundreds of people killed in New York City, but there are 10,000 people are struck by cars in New York City. So I'm very conscious and cognizant of pedestrian safety. I live downtown. I walk to the mall. I walk to Starbucks. I walk to the laundry. I walk to the library. I walk a lot. And what I've noticed is that it's terrifying. If a person has experience with pedestrian issues, I've seen people who have been struck by cars in New York City. I actually read recently there's an epidemic of deaths by vehicle in the United States right now. Pompton Lakes is a very dangerous place for pedestrians to walk your streets, and I'll identify a few problems. Number one, the speed on Wanacue Avenue. You have a 25-mile speed limit, which New York City has established as a safe speed limit to protect people's lives. You have a speed sign coming into Pompton Lakes from both directions, and I often see the speeds 35 miles an hour or so, which is a very deadly speed, and I virtually never see police enforcement of speed limits in this town.
Well,
I've never seen.
I'll have to stop
No,
doing
no,
that.
no, let me finish. How many minutes do I have?
You only get 5, but I'm going to talk while you're talking.
No, no, I don't want to be I don't want to be.
Well, it doesn't work that way.
Why don't we talk at the end here?
You don't make
Why
the
don't we
rules.
talk at the end?
You don't
No,
make
I think the
rules.
public can speak
Go
without
ahead.
having a debate.
Go ahead.
Let me just finish. I live in
You got 2
downtown,
minutes and 20
and I
seconds.
very rarely see police patrolling on that street, and it's a big problem. Number 2, there's a lack of crosswalk signs. Every crosswalk in downtown on the main street does not have a crosswalk sign. That's very unsafe. There are no painted crosswalks entering the Starbucks mall. Kids come in there, the school kids come in there by the droves every day. There's no crosswalk written there. There's also no crosswalk at the exit for that special needs school next to the railroad tracks. And the additional issue is there are no banisters. You really need some banisters on the bridge at the Wanacue Avenue over the Wanacue River. Because what's going to happen is sometimes someone's going to jump that curb. There's going to be a dozen kids there, and they're going to go down like bowling pins. Okay, there needs to be some kind of banister, some kind of pedestrian protection, so that cars that are going even 25 miles is a dangerous speed if you get hit by it. These cars, it only takes a fraction of an inch to turn a steering wheel. Any kind of aneurysm, any kind of dropping your coffee, and that car is up on the curb. And there's nothing protecting these kids and pedestrians, elderly people, dog walkers. They're inches from these vehicles, which are basically missiles. These are deadly machines. I mean, we're used to them now, but they are very dangerous. And you need some kind of banisters on both sides of that road. And even if it's a county road, a county bridge, whatever, it's up to this town. Your kids are going to get killed. It's just a matter of time before you have a really tragic situation in this town, and everyone's going to be broken up about it. But there are so many things you can do right now to deal with it, and it's all about infrastructure. It's not about personal behavior. It's all about infrastructure and spending some money. There's also a lighting problem at a lot of these crosswalks. This has been bothering me for a long time. I was hesitant to talk to you about it because I'm a newcomer, because blah, blah, blah.
That's no problem.
But I really feel, and I've observed this, and I've actually taken videos of that speed sign coming into Pompton Lakes from Ringwood Avenue, and the cars, some of them do 25, but a lot of them do 30 and 35, and that's well known to be, when you get struck at 35 miles an hour, you have a very high likelihood of being dead, okay? And even if you're not dead, these injuries from getting struck by cars, these are lifelong, life-altering injuries that never heal, okay? So I really urge you, there are a number of things, I'm going to write something out to you. I really wasn't prepared tonight. I just happened by here. I wanted to see what's going on. But this has been bothering me for a long time, and I really encourage you, these are real clear infrastructure issues. They don't take commissions, don't take whatever. You need painted crosswalks. There's nothing going into the Starbucks, and there's nothing coming out of that school by the railroad tracks, and it's crazy. Okay? But all of your crosswalks here are almost invitations to injury because they're not adequately marked, and people are going way too fast in a downtown area, and they can't see the pedestrians.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, yes, we all agree that there's speeding issues in town, and Wanacue Avenue is one of the worst places. But that being said, we've been very proactive, and I'm going to let Councilman DeWine speak a little bit about what we've brought in. The police department itself has been monitoring that. They've done undercover operations about crosswalks and how people cross. A lot of the issue sometimes is people are not using crosswalks. They're just crossing in the middle of the street. Okay, the other part of the problem is our crosswalks were just done with the thermal paint now that lasts. They're not painted on crosswalks anymore. They don't have the hashes in the middle of them, but they have the thermals on the outside. They're county roads. The county's responsible for Wanacue Avenue. That's not a town road. We're responsible for the speeding, yes. We are in the process now of getting some flashing signs that will be coming, crosswalks. I'd have to address what you're talking about at Starbucks. If you tell me where exactly you're talking about at Starbucks now. The crosswalk under the light?
The entry to the mall there is completely lacking a crosswalk, and also...
Well, the mall would be mall property. That would be on their property.
The point is, they're a corporate citizen of your community.
Right.
And if you told them, hey, our kids are crossing out, and as a matter of, when you give them a C of O, when you give them a zoning permit, I mean, that should be a clear part of you have to give them all kinds of zoning permissions.
Right, but we
mall.
can't make them put crosswalks in on private property. We can suggest it, we can't make them. It's private
I would
property.
say, well, it's crazy that they don't have it, and it's a danger to your own citizens.
So we will bring that up to them.
You can raise the question with them.
Sure, I will do that.
You can make it clear to them that if they don't assist you, then, that indicates a lack of good faith, and maybe there will be, maybe they'll be on your radar screen. And also, I guarantee that as part of any kind of a site plan approval, variances, zoning, whatever, C of O, it can be just, it's just the way that you require lighting in a mall, you can require crosswalks and sidewalks and.
All right, you're going past your time, so I'm just let Councilman DeWine talk about a little bit about the program that we just brought.
Yeah, I mean, we partnered with Transoptions, which is Transportation Management Association, and we did the Street Smart campaign, and that was a public education campaign designed to raise awareness for pedestrians, one, to cross properly at marked and unmarked crosswalks, and also for drivers to obey, one, the speed limit, to pay attention and put their phones down while they're driving, because distracted driving and distracted walking actually has led to that rise of pedestrian crashes and pedestrian deaths that you raised up. And I know you made the point of behaviors not being enough and infrastructure having to be a key part of that. And I agree with that. I think you also have to be mindful about what infrastructure you're putting in, the effectiveness of it, of things like that. I mean, you talked about the banisters at that bridge on Montague Avenue. You're right. That is a county road. We can't just unilaterally go and do something like that. That's up to the county to approve, and you also have to back it up with some information, okay? The concern of a car jumping a curb and hitting a pedestrian seems valid, but where's the statistics to it? That bridge has been there for how many years? Hundreds of years. How many crashes have we had in that capacity? Zero. So where is our statistical analysis showing there is a need for that kind of treatment? So what we do need to do is pay attention to where there are the actual concerns are, where the actual statistics lead us to making improvements, and that's where we're going to put our resources. So while I appreciate your concern and belief in pedestrian safety and things like that, I know a number of the council people being former police officers. Councilman Bennon has constantly been part of it. Councilwoman Riker has led the bike helmet safety thing. So as far as the mayor and the council go, we are right there in terms of trying to address pedestrian safety and bicycle safety and making Pompton Lakes a more walkable and bikeable community. But we do have to be mindful of that we are working with a certain amount of resources. We have to be mindful of that we don't control every single roadway in the borough. Some of them are county roads, and we don't get to decide necessarily what happens. And we make the improvements where we can.
Can I quickly answer?
No, you can't actually, because this time's up. You can come back in the next session if you'd like.
But if you listen, I said, I know it's a county road, but it's up to you to ask them.
We can.
And you don't wait until people are dead.
Okay.
To fix these.
But we're not. You're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's a very clear issue that
There's no evidence of any kind of issue whatsoever there. You just made up an issue that doesn't exist.
All right, Councilman Dwight, we're good. Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like this? Please step.
Hi, how are you? My name is Ruth Pais, and I live in 228 Skyler. Come here because we have a problem with my husband and I, that is down on Carrizzolo, the addition of the house, that is the first floor and the garage. We are afraid to get in there because it's going to collapse one of these days.
Which house are we talking about?
228 Skyler Avenue. So we're afraid to get into the room. We're afraid also to get in the garage. I have the car there, so I have to go in and out. We're afraid that it's going to collapse.
Do you own this house or you rent it?
My husband, yeah.
He owns the house?
Yeah, he owns the house.
So
it's down on Carrizzolo, his name. I mean, I'm the wife, but I'm using my name.
Okay, but he owns the house, right?
Yes, he does.
All right, so he's responsible for fixing the house?
Not really when it's condemned. I mean, what is the...
Well, so are you confusing me? Does somebody live there now?
Yeah, my husband and I.
Okay, the house is condemned?
The addition of the house, not the house. The addition of the house.
The addition was condemned?
Yeah.
By who?
Condemned.
By who was it condemned by?
We're having, right now, we're dealing with a lawyer in order to work it out and see what is going to happen. The thing is that I don't think that it's fair for us to pay for that addition when we have that problem. We have cracks on the ceiling and many other things. Every time that we wanted to paint it, the cracks come back.
But you own the property and the house?
My husband.
Yeah, well, your husband does, okay.
Yeah.
So he would be the one responsible to fix that. Are you asking someone else
Not
to
really,
fix it?
because there are more problems that they came from the time the addition was done.
Right, but did you own the house when that was done or not? Did he own the house?
The house is owned since 40 years, or 45 years, or 50 years, I don't remember exactly the year.
But you didn't own, but you haven't owned, he hasn't owned it for 40 years.
Yeah, he, not me.
Okay.
I'm talking because he's working right now, for student
Right,
time
but
to say about that.
so what are you asking, who are you asking to fix the house?
The thing is that what we want is to stop or removing the tax bill from that addition because of that problem that we have.
But you have to take that up with the tax department. They're the
Yeah,
ones
we already
responsible.
did.
Okay, so then you're dealing with that, yes.
Yeah, so there's like, we're trying to deal with it.
Okay.
And then joined and told us he's going to talk after me, explaining more, that he knows more how to explain about it than myself. I don't know too much on how to explain. the
Okay, so,
whole
just so I
situation.
understand, I'm just
No,
questioning.
yeah, I know.
What are you asking what are you asking for?
What I'm asking is to remove the tax bill
Okay.
until the problem is resolved, because we're paying for something that I don't even go to the room. I'm afraid the ceiling is like this, it's going,
But if it's, so just so you know, if it is condemned by our building department, they're gonna send fines to your husband. That's who's gonna get the fines.
yeah, but the problem is that it wasn't the fault of my husband.
It doesn't
was
matter,
the-
he owns the property now.
Why, but
Doesn't matter.
it was whoever did it, the problem that they did it. We didn't know until recently,
Right,
like 1 or 2
but when you
years ago.
purchase
that
the
it was
house, you do a
condemned.
title search, that's part of what happens. You purchase the house. That's like if I purchased
Yeah,
my
but it was
house.
4 years ago, we didn't know. The addition, it was like 2 years.
It's-
So it's our
unfortunately,
problem
it has
that
nothing to do
addition,
with
it was
it.
wrong, it was built incorrectly, it's falling
But
down,
that's all-
and it's gonna get
right.
into our.
And I agree with
So
you,
it's
but that's a
it's my
civil,
problem.
that's a civil lawsuit you'll have to do. Has nothing to do with
That's
the
what
town.
I'm doing with, right now with the
Right.
lawyer.
Right, has nothing to do with us.
fix it out, because the person that it was, the inspector that I went to see that the house or the addition, it was correct, he didn't say what he's supposed to say. That it was everything
Okay,
that
I don't
was
know.
done,
I
it was
can't speak to
incorrect.
that. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
I know, but I'm telling you what is going on. That's why I came, to see if it's something that can be resolved, it's something that can be done, the taxes
Right.
to be out of the.
So the tax
and then we don't
department,
have to pay that.
we as a board here have nothing to do with the tax department, so they'll handle the tax issues you're having.
Yeah, we already
and they'll
went to
address that.
South
Right. The house itself, unfortunately, this is not the news you want to hear, is owned by your husband, so he's responsible for fixing that. And if they condemn that house for that building.
I know the whole house.
I know, but that piece,
Yeah,
if they condemn that piece, he's gonna get fines from the town for a condemned piece of property.
That's why we're with the lawyer, because we
So that's
are
what
not
you
the
have to
one
do,
that is
right.
supposed to
Right,
to
so
be
that's what
done.
you have to
I don't know if, Mr. Vitolo is gonna.
All right, so if you
we're
wanna
gonna
let
come
go.
now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, you come up.
Joe Totola, Walnut Street, in the DuPont Village. What Ruth was explaining was in 93 and 94, Don, the homeowner, wanted an addition put on the house. He hired a contractor that was living in the town. The contractor did not use an architect, did not use an engineer. Contractor made the blueprint, submitted it to the town building department. It was stamped, approved, but not reviewed. The reason why all this is coming up now was approximately a year and a half ago, they were thinking about putting a bathroom in the basement. So I informed Don that I would go to the NUA, speak to John, and get a printout of the sewer main layout so he would know the situation. When I got the print, I said right to John right then and there, I said, there's a major problem. I said, they built an addition right over the sewer lateral. Now,
Okay, now I know where you're
that's
going.
against the state law
Okay.
in a violation of 4 code statutes.
Yes.
Including plumbing. So that started the Pandora's box. When you look at the blueprint, the entire addition is illegal. The foundation was improper, framing was improper. The sewer lateral goes directly through the entire addition and then comes around and goes back into the house. So at that time, I said, well, we could move the sewer main. Let me find out how much it would cost to open up where the street is. because John said, you got to go talk to Kevin. He sets that up. He goes, the MUA doesn't do that. The MUA has, from the sewer main to the property line, that's the MUA. From the property line forward, that's homeowner. So I went to Kevin and I said, look, there's a situation. Sewer main was, addition was illegally put over a sewer main. I want to know how much you would charge to open up the street for me for a contractor to move the main. And then he goes, well, it's $8,000 for this, $5,000 for this, $15,000. And I said, wait a minute, there's already a sewer connection there. It's not a new one. He goes, oh. He goes, we'll waive all that when the permits come in. We'll waive those too because the homeowner, we're trying to help them out. And then when I told him the addition was over the lateral, he said to me, face to face in his office, he said, that means that addition should be condemned. And he goes, that needs to be taken down and corrected. And I said, well, I fully understand that. The issue is, right now, it's involved in a lawsuit. The homeowner is suing the contractor. So I said, until that's rectified, we can't take the addition down. Now the homeowner said, look, it's been a year and a half. I'm paying taxes on an addition that's unstable and unsafe. The second floor, the load-bearing beam was under spec by 60%. The second floor is actually buckling more than 3 inches. Just recently, they had about $15,000 worth of water damage done by a fault in
So
in
have
the
you
roof.
reached out to the building department? Have you spoken to Sal?
He filed an tax appeal.
Who's he? Sal?
Don filed a tax appeal because Kevin told me a year and a half ago that the addition is condemned. So I said, by you filing the appeal, saying the addition is condemned, that they would remove that.
Well, Kevin can't condemn
I didn't
anything.
talk to this, I haven't talked about this at all.
So Kevin can't condemn anything.
Kevin, before you say another word, I recorded that conversation, so don't lie in front of record. We're on video.
I never talked about that, Joe.
Yes, you did, a year and a half ago. So now,
Well, but you understand, just so I know you understand this, Kevin cannot condemn anything. A building department can condemn it.
apparently the tax collector, not the appraiser, the collector that comes in on Thursday night, I spoke with him. The assessor. And I said, Kevin told me about a year and a half ago.
Well, you
I
keep saying that,
explained
but I can't, you can't, no, that's hearsay, really.
It's not hearsay. It's going to come up in court.
Okay.
The collector, the assessor apparently reached out to Kevin because Kevin called John Wigley right away and brought him in and said, this is an MUA issue, and John said, no, it's not. He said, it's not our issue, it's the building department.
It is, I agree with that. That is the building.
And the building inspector back then in 93, 94,
Which I can't speak for.
that he improperly approved everything.
I don't know that answer. I can't tell you.
So, according to what Ruth wants and Don wants at this time is the tax appeal was filed. They want the taxes on the addition, which is about roughly
Oh, this is the
$3,000.
one where they want the money given back from the years past too?
Well, the collector, the
Can't
appraiser,
do
right, the
that.
appraiser said you have to sue for that.
Right.
He said we can only go back to 1 year.
Correct.
They're fully acknowledged of that.
Okay.
So am I. I'm not asking for that.
Okay.
The assessor said you have to go forward. So he said, do an appeal, and then, it will be discussed. The county will set up an appointment.
Okay.
And then, the assessor will come out and do a market analysis.
Okay.
Things like that. So, John said the MUA has no issue.
We're running over here, so make it
It's
quick.
all building department. So, you're saying to the homeowner that the inspector's gonna start slapping fines.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Actually,
what
you can't, because the town's at fault.
Yeah, I don't know who's at fault. You're talking about from 1993? Obviously, no one here was involved in 1993.
Yes, but the thing is, the homeowner entrusted the building inspectors
I don't
of
know
the
that.
town
Again, I can't speak
to
for that.
protect them.
Right, I can't speak.
They failed.
But
Their
did anybody
contractors-
speak to Sal and talk to Sal about this? That's the first place you should go, is talking to Sal. He's the building department. He needs to handle that. That's the first place. Talking to Kevin, Kevin can't condemn anything.
I've never talked to anybody on this issue.
Right, so he can't. So what I suggest, and I understand what you're saying now I understand what you're talking about. That's okay, I understand now. You guys should go in and talk to Sal together, explain to him what you just explained to me, then Sal will reach out and set up a meeting with whoever needs to set up a meeting to see what we need to do. This is new to me about when it was built in 1993 and who did it, who approved it and not. We'd have to pull all those records. We'd have to do all that.
He already has all the paperwork, because Kevin called Don and said, well, I don't know if we have, Don goes, I have everything, permits, all the paperwork, blueprints, everything.
Who, Don is her husband?
Yes.
Okay. So,
And I have copies of that.
all right, so
because-
I'm going to suggest to reach out to Sal first. That's the first thing you need to do. Let him make aware of this, and then we'll talk to the tax department. I don't know where this is going. This could be a lawsuit. I don't know. On our side, too. I don't know.
We would have to get involved in the appeal, Mayor.
Right.
The county tax board.
Right. Has nothing, the appeal part of it has nothing to do with us. That's the tax department.
Well, the assessor said if that addition was condemned by the town, then they would remove that part.
There'd be paperwork on that.
Until
Yes.
everything gets caught up in the court settlement with their contractor.
You have to
and
ask Sal if
everything.
there's paperwork on that. Kevin's not going to know if there's paperwork on that.
Town hasn't condemned that.
Right, so I don't know that, so I don't know if
I'm saying, town hasn't condemned that.
Okay, so they've condemned nothing, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the addition is over a sewer lateral.
I understand that.
And that's illegal. Illegal means it's not a legal structure, period.
Okay.
There's no gray area, there's no...
But it's not
when-
condemned. It's not condemned. It's illegal. There's two different things there.
Illegal, yes. Condemned, according to the state law, it would...
I don't know state law. So you're talking about, so again, okay, you passed your time. We'll talk. I understand what you're saying. I do understand about what, I did hear from the tax assessor, came to me with the concern. That's the only reason I heard it. And he said, we'll have to figure out what to do. I don't know what that means. So let's talk about it a little bit. I will gladly sit down with both of you and talk about it in my office. We can drag Sal into it and talk to him about it if that's what you want, and see where we're going to go from there. But I know, I can't speak for anything that happened in 1993, if it was inspected or passed or failed, or...
They're not pointing the finger at anybody here. This happened
No, I
back
understand.
then, so the town has to come up and stand up and say...
All right, so let's set up a meeting. We'll gladly do that. Call my office. We will definitely meet. Yes, whoever you want to bring to the meeting, I will sit down with, and I will get Sal there too to talk with that. So just make it later in the afternoon, because Sal doesn't get in until 3:30.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
No, he's not here, right. You could do it at 6. He's here at 6, 6:30. All right, well, let's work it out. We'll try to work something out. I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. Any other, buddy from the public like to address? Mr. Bush.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I recently went up and picked up a copy of the 2020 municipal budget. Has that been approved? Is that finalized now, or is it?
Not finalized, no.
It hasn't been approved?
Second reading has to happen next month.
Well,
Next month.
April 6th.
April 7th. Okay, thank you. The other night I was watching Channel 77, and there was a presentation about the flood maps and stuff. Very informative. It was well attended. And the way it was presented, it was very interesting to listen to. But the aspect of it is still, when the presenter was pointing to the screen, has this camera been replaced yet, or you cannot see anything on the screen? There was a nice presentation tonight. If that hasn't been replaced, you still can't see anything on the screen.
I don't know if the camera's been replaced, and when I was told, I don't think we can get a camera that
No, it's been replaced.
has been replaced, so then we can't get a camera.
I purchased for $4,000 for new camera.
I don't care the price. I was watching the show.
$4,000.
Well, I will say this. I was told, I spoke to our person who did this. He said, you will not be able to get a camera from where it's located now to read off of that. It just won't happen.
It was just a great presentation.
It was.
And even for the people that were here, if they wanted to go home and see it again because they might have missed something, you can't see anything on
Well, what we can do, and this involves on those type of presentations, they have that on thumb drives that we could download probably to our Channel 77 and just put that informational part up without the interaction back and forth of the public, but you would be able to see what was on the drawings.
I'm just an old retired carpenter. However you can do it, Mr. Mayor,
I
and
will
it
work on
benefit the public who could not attend the meeting,
I will
and
work.
they can see what everybody's talking
I'll
about.
see what we can do, but I can tell you that the cameras from where they are put, they cannot read these monitors. And there's special cameras to read a monitor. It's just that a monitor it doesn't just read like you see it. When there's a camera involved, it's a different type of...
Flood Advisory did a fabulous job in their presentation. Mr. Evangelista.
You are the only one to bring this to my attention. No one else has brought this to my attention, so I'm just going to say that out there, too. So I haven't had residents say we couldn't see the presentation.
I guess I'm more observant than the average bear, I would say.
I guess, but I'm just...
But I enjoy seeing those presentations,
Okay,
but I
but I
can't
will
see anything
see what I
on
can do,
screen.
yeah.
And it's kind of embarrassing that at this point in time, in 2020,
It's not embarrassing to us. This is how
Well,
we do this. I've watched other websites in other towns.
Again, I've said this before, the system was never meant to be integrated. That was the fact. When we bought these media monitors, it was never meant to be on television. That was meant for meetings in this room. Never meant for that purpose.
but you are doing presentations.
Well, I understand that, but it was never meant for that purpose. There was no integration. That's how it is.
And most towns do not do
The
it.
camera I bought will do, mayor's not words, will do what you want. That's why it's a $4,000 camera. Because it's going to have a toggle switch that's going to allow it to zoom in over a president's head to the TV monitor. That's why it's $4,000. But my point is, we're spending a lot of money on a very simple cable station. It's now becoming a very expensive cable station.
This is how you present things to the public.
Well, let me address that a little bit. I've said this numerous times. This is not something we have to do. This is something we choose to do. Most towns do not do this. If they do not have a presentation and have it on film and everything else. Some towns don't even have council meetings on their web pages, if they have a web page at all. So we are way ahead of the curve for most towns. Now, I'm not talking of Patterson or a Clifton. I'm talking towns our size. So this goes back to what the administrator is talking about. Taxes become a concern. If this gets out of control cost-wise, I'm not going to put it on the residents just because you can't see the screen. Now, if 500 residents are here complaining about it, I'll talk about it. But one resident, I have to take that into account. That's all.
Yes, but, and I respect you, and I respect that you're making these presentations, but and you choose to do that, and if you're going to do it, do 100% of the job, not 80%.
If that 100% is charging our taxpayers too much, I am not. That's the problem.
Speaking of our taxpayers, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, he's done with that. He's on to the next. Go ahead. Got 5 minutes, don't forget. Go ahead.
You could always give us more time. You've given plenty of people more time.
That's on my
At
discussion.
the February, yes, it is.
Okay.
Me, I only get 5.
Okay.
February 12th meeting, I brought up the fact of your pay increase in 2019 of 25.487%.
For a
Just
grand
for
total
you
of how
for
much
1
a year?
year.
Do you forget to say how much that is? It's $12,000 a year.
No, it's not. It's $12,240.
Yeah, oh, you're right. Yeah, you might be right there. Yeah.
No, I am right.
Okay, so you think what I do for $12,000, I should be, okay, go ahead.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead.
So I brought this comment up at the February 12th meeting, and usually all the comments that we have from this podium are put in the minutes.
It wasn't in the
That
minutes?
comment never made the minutes.
It
What
should
happened?
be. If it wasn't, it should be. Was
Never
that-
made the minutes. I don't know what happened.
I don't know
Not
that.
every comment put in.
Oh, not
I
every,
don't do verbatim.
okay.
I put
I didn't know that, so I don't.
Technically, the minutes should be the action of the meeting, just so you know.
Oh, not the comments from the
They
podium?
don't have to be in there, no, it's the action of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
That's what minutes are.
All right, well, I was just reading the minutes.
Okay, I didn't
And
know.
a few people called me and told me that my comments were not in the minutes. So.
How many times have I heard
My comments about Councilman Begg attending the senior meeting, that was in there. But my comments about you making your large,
You're saying I
rather
have
large.
big toe in this town and I pulled that out perfectly?
That wasn't in the minutes, so.
And how
I
many
was
times-
just curious as to how the minutes work.
And how many times have I reminded you, we don't want to hear from residents that you're speaking for other residents? So if those residents have a concern with that, they should come forward to me about that.
I can really speak for whoever I
Well, you
want.
can say it, but we're not going to take it into
Well,
account.
yes, there's a lot of things that I say you don't take into account, Mr. Mayor. The town garden, I
You're
was
way
talk-
over your 5 minutes, so this has got to be the last one.
Okay. The town garden, I was talking to Councilman Devine at the Shade Tree meeting, and he said he's no longer in charge of the town garden, that Councilman Bennett is, or is there
Well, we-
anything,
yes.
are we on the same amount of people on that? I was on that before. Am I not on it now?
You received an email.
Excuse me?
Did you not receive an email?
No, I did not.
I'll send you an email we're restarting it. Earth Day is the kickoff for it. We're forming the committee. I'm going through old records and emails now. I was given a list of email addresses to reach out to. I thought you were on it. If not, I will forward you the email.
I appreciate that.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Mr. Bennett. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the extra time. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it.
Anytime for you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Council President Bennon, Councilman Giaconetta, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Approval of minutes, motion to approve the following minutes, regular meeting minutes of February 26, 2020. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilwoman Riker, Councilman Giaconetta, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? We have no
Present.
bills, we have a present?
Yes.
Okay, present.
Who,
Councilman Dewan. We have no bills and claims, and just so an informational, we've switched on our, how we do our bills and claims. They will be done once a month, so we should probably be pulling that just off the agenda, I would think. Whenever you're ready, Liz, for,
Does anyone wish to have any resolutions?
anybody want something for? No, go ahead.
Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 20-99 through Resolution 20-107.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilwoman Riker,
Second.
Councilman Begg, roll call, please.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor, I'm sorry, all in favor.
Aye.
Against? Resolutions for separate action.
There are none.
None, I'm sorry.
Ordinances,
First,
first
yeah,
reading
first
and
reading.
introduction. Ordinance will be presented for second reading and final adoption on May 25th. Ordinance 20-08, an ordinance amending Chapter Section 30, term of prohibitions of the municipal code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes to amend the hours and locations of certain term provisions.
Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 20-08 for introduction?
So moved.
Council President Bennon,
Second.
Councilman Devine, little discussion, just explain, anybody want to explain?
I can do it. So the term prohibitions was brought to us by our police department. It addresses two roadways in particular, Lenox Avenue and Lincoln Avenue during the times of school drop-off and pickups for the mornings and afternoons. As most people know, those roadways become one-way roads during that time period. However, our ordinance does not address prohibited turning movements of certain driveways along that roadway. So that's basically what this ordinance would adjust. It's just prohibit turns out of certain driveways onto Lenox Avenue and Lincoln Avenue respectively.
Okay, roll call,
It
please.
hasn't changed the times.
No, nothing.
No,
Yes.
no.
Okay. When they-
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Bay?
Yes.
Councilman Deline?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetta?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Okay, ordinances
2009.
2009 is ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes to amend fees pertaining to outside hire of police personnel.
Motion to approve ordinance 2009 for introduction.
So moved.
Councilman Begg,
Second.
Council President Bennon, roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Oh, I'm sorry, you want a discussion? Go ahead.
So I'll explain this one too. This one is an ordinance that adjusts the fee related to the hiring of an administrative fee for police personnel for certain construction projects, mostly related to private development projects. Currently, the fee is $10 per hour. That essentially is intended to pay for the police vehicle running, because they have to keep the lights on for traffic control, things like that. This ordinance would raise it from $10 to $20, better capturing really the true cost of having that vehicle out there and the officer out there. This was brought to our attention a couple meetings ago. We brought on a company known as Jobs for Blue that is basically an administrative company to hire police officers for certain construction projects, things like that. They noticed that our fees were low relative to the surrounding area. They made the suggestion. So this is what this ordinance would do. It's important to note, having talked to Chief Clark, this would only be applied to, again, private development projects. So, for example, the pharmacy/medical office is being built on Hamburg Turnpike. They would be charging the contractor for the use. In the cases of shade tree prunings or road paving projects, things like that, if we charged, the DLS paving, whoever, Harmony, tree care, $20 a tree for something like that, then, or $20 an hour, it'd essentially be paying one hand with the other. So, the police aren't going to be basically charging the borough for that fee.
Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Ordinance 20-10, an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Municipal Code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes and revising the Borough Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance to comply with state regulatory changes.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Council President Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Devine? This is just to comply with state regulation. Can I have roll call, please?
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Okay, second reading?
Ordinance 20-07, this ordinance has been advertised and posted on the municipal bulletin board. An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, state statute.
Kevin, you just want to give a little quick...
As I mentioned every year, this is a budgetary tool we use. It allows us to, if necessary, go over the percent cap to 4.5%. We're below both caps, so it's not an issue, but it does give us potential cap bank going forward. If there ever was a problem, we need to have some additional cushion in the budget. We do it every year, and it really has not been the tool we've had to use so far, but you want to keep that in the back of your pocket, you never know.
Okay, motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 20-07.
So moved.
Councilwoman Riker?
Second.
Council President Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this ordinance? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 20-07?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Giaconetta? Council President Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 20-07 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilwoman Riker? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Day?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under my report, we had our change of officer day, or CTO day, this afternoon and tonight. When the kids come in from the high school and take over the positions here on the boards, they will come up with their own agenda and come back with a regular meeting that they will run. It's always an interesting meeting because you see things from a perspective of a young adult and how they want to make some changes, and sometimes we do even incorporate those changes that they bring to us. So we look forward to having that, and I'm thankful Liz for putting that together along with the high school. I attended the fireman swearing-in ceremony. I can't say enough about our volunteer groups in town, especially our volunteer firemen. We have a large group of volunteers that do what they have to do, and they come out every time that bell rings. It could be 3 in the morning and they got to get up at 6, but they're out there. So congratulations to everybody who was there, and congratulations to the fire department. I attended a meeting with all the mayors of Passaic County last Saturday, along with the borough, the county administrator. And we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things, and I know Mr. Hinton had asked about the deer, and we did talk about the deer. And to this date, the county has no plans in doing any type of hunting, and none of the mayors have any interest in doing any of the hunting. We did talk about removal of deer from the streets, which the mayor of Wayne was concerned about because it's the county's responsibility to pick them up, and sometimes it does take a long time. So we're going to work on that system a little bit to maybe try to get the deer off the grounds a little quicker. But at this point, none of the groups, and I did, talk about why we thought it could help us, and there was no interest by anybody at this time. But he said, look, if the state was to come down with a plan, we would entertain that idea. So I did bring your idea to them. Also at that meeting, we discussed numerous things, but and I will say that the previous mayor Cole was the one who started the meetings of this mayor, and he did acknowledge at that point that this was started with Mayor Cole, and she thought it was a good idea. And Keith out of Woodland, or Mayor Kazismek has out of Woodland Park, had put it together. And it's a nice way for all of us to talk because we all have similar concerns and problems when it comes to it. When you have the administrator of the county there and some freeholders there, it helps get that message across and make things work a little bit. So we're going to try to do these either quarterly or bi-yearly, and I think they'll go a long way with that. I also had a meeting. So we've had numerous meetings, and I brought it up a little bit in the beginning on coronavirus. We had an OEM meeting on Monday that involved our police department, fire department, OEM, ambulance squad, some council people, our office staff. You know, we have to be aware of what's going on here. We have to keep our volunteers safe. So that's why we had the meeting. Some people were questioning, you know, why would we have the meeting? It was to put in place procedures that we think we should do as a borough now in case something does happen. We're not saying anything has happened yet in town, and we're like every other town in this area. It's changing day by day. But in case something does happen, we want to be prepared to be able to send a fireman or a policeman to a home that it might have a concern. So I thought it was a good meeting. It was a lot of good information. Our health department, Mary Ann Pella, who represents us here and in Wayne, was there, and she had a lot of good information. And she even said today, we'll talk about a meeting I had today, she even said every hour that it's changing, what she's told from the commissioners from the county. So this is an ongoing changing thing. I have to remind all the residents that we do not have any control over the schools. I did have a meeting today with the superintendent and all the nurses of all the schools, along with a lot of the same people I mentioned before, to discuss what their plan of action would be at the schools. They do have a plan of action. Again, they're guided by what the state regulates and how things work. So, you know, we're all trying to work together on this. It's not a perfect system. It's not a perfect plan. The two things that I get out of the meeting, and I mentioned them at the beginning of the meeting, if you have a concern with your health, you need to call your health care provider. That's who you should be calling. Don't call the health department here. Don't call the borough hall. Call right to your health care provider. Explain your situation. They will determine what needs to be done in the next step. If you do not have a health care provider, then you need to call the emergency room first, tell them your situation. They will then determine the best result for you to do. So you do not want anybody just showing up unannounced in anywhere. And again, washing your hands and being cautious of your surroundings, how close you are in big groups. Those are the recommendations right now from the CDC and from the state, so we are going to follow those. I have to speak a little bit about our attorney, Joe Ragnow. For everybody in this room who have seen him here, he was always someone we could count on here in Borough Hall. I was on the phone with him probably 3-4 times a week for many, many years. He is going to be sorely missed in our town here. I will tell you, he was very sick in the last 2-3 weeks, and he still said he wanted to come to the council meeting 2 weeks ago because he felt the residents were going to have a lot of questions about the COA at the time, and he wanted to answer them. And I said, Joe, there's no reason you need to be here for this. It could be a long meeting. He insisted that he wanted to be here. So that just shows you what type of guy Joe was. He didn't really care about anything else. He wanted to make sure that the residents were getting concerned. So, again, I'm sure everybody here is going to miss him. I'm sure the office is going to miss him. And we'll move forward with what we have to do. And I think that is my report. Council President Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I also like to extend our condolences to the family of Joe Ragnow. Like the mayor said, he will be missed. Last Saturday, like 2 Saturdays ago, there was a cancer benefit, annual cancer benefit run by Mary Beth, my neighbor Mary Beth. We've gone to it the last 3 or 4 years, and it's always been a huge success. A lot of folks, a lot of trick-or-treat baskets. I forgot the number that she gave out as far as the total, but it was a large amount. 16,000.
Yeah, and over the 20 years she's been doing, it's like 250 or something.
Yeah, she exceeded 250.
Yep. So congratulations and good job, Mary Beth. I'd like to thank the Hawk students who are involved in the Hawk program. It's a very noble cause to try to help your peers to avoid these poor habits, we'll call them, and basically go against the peer pressure to try these drugs and alcohol and vaping and whatnot. And then lastly, Liz brought to our attention the daffodils are blooming in front of Borough Hall, and I actually, you see them all around town, Lakeside, Lincoln School. My little daughter Melanie was so excited to see them. We actually took a detour home to take a look at them by Lincoln School. So keep an eye out, post some pictures. Be ready to plant 5,000 if you get still a lot of space around town there. So if we're given the opportunity, we'll be applying for another grant. And that is my report. Thank you.
And they do look nice coming up. 5,000 might be pushing the limits, but okay, 5,000, we'll go.
It'll bloom for 10 years or more, man.
Okay. Councilwoman Riker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start my report just a few remarks about Joe. I worked very closely with Joe for over 10 years. He was really quite an asset to the borough, and many of you might not realize Joe was diagnosed with multiple myeloma over 5 years ago, and he really battled and struggled with it, and he never let it get him down. There were days that, especially on a Thursday, for instance, post-council meeting, I would have some questions or concerns or some follow-up, and I would call Joe, and Joe would be in the middle of his chemo treatments. I said, Joe, it's not that important. It can wait. And he goes, no, I want to get it done. Joe had answered my calls. Joe was an avid skier. There were times I'd say, Joe, where are you? He says, oh, I'm on a chairlift. I'm answering your call. And Joe is really a very special man, and we really will miss him. This has been a rough time for our borough. We also did another wake this week. One of our longstanding MUA commissioners and former council people, Larry DeMeo, just passed. So it's been a rough go for many of us here in the borough. Mayor commented on the health department meeting that we had, and the local emergency planning committee. We had all aspects of the community were represented. We had very good representation by the council, myself, Councilman Bay, Councilman Giaconetta, and obviously the mayor was there. These materials that were distributed to us, do you have them?
Yes, there's packets right over
They're over there? Okay. They're really, some of it is self-evident at this point, but they do have very good contact information, so if for some reason you're concerned about what's the proper website, what's the proper toll-free number, please just grab them. They are.
on our website.
And it's on the website. And they are very useful. As those of you going to council meetings know, that I've been very involved with the redevelopment from the get-go. I had an opportunity to tour Lakeside Commons. They do have 2 apartments that they have staged, a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. They are really lovely. They are very well done. They have a nice little flyer that shows you all the appliances and ample closets and up-to-date security and key fobs. And I would encourage any of you, there's usually a realtor on premises who would be happy to show it to you, even if you're not in the market. Maybe you have a friend or a neighbor or a relative who might be interested. I think you'll be very pleasantly impressed, and hopefully it's just the beginning for us. I do want to echo what has been said in terms of the flood meeting was beautifully done. Nick really did a fabulous presentation. He got down to brass tacks. And there was a tremendous amount of detail in it. But the bottom line is everyone needs to check whether they're in the floodway, the floodplain. Just make sure you understand where your property is and what the implications are. It's easy to get it on the borough website by going to the icon that says Borough Maps. And if for some reason that's not comfortable to you, Sal will you just give him a call or an appointment. He'll do it for you. So, especially those people who don't have mortgages, you don't have a bank or a title company pushing you to get that information. So please, it's available to everyone. In the redevelopment, redevelopment is going on in all different stages. We have projects that are finished, projects that are planned, projects that are proposed. And one of the things we did is the mayor and myself and a whole bunch of other folks were at a meeting about parking. You know, the dearest part of redevelopment in this town is parking, and we met with Jerry Gioso, who is our parking consultant. And we're moving forward on that, I guess is the best way to say it. And just when people say, well, how are we going to do it? What's going to happen with the parking? We're constantly looking at the parking options. I would like to thank Karen Murphy. I know for many meetings I would sit up here and bring my plastic bags and hold them up and remind people that plastic bags aren't part of our recycling program, but they're part of an independent recycling program that is in the Borough Hall and some of the schools, and I think the library. and today she posted a really great explanation on, I think it was Perfectly Pompton, just explaining, please just save your plastic bags. We're trying to get benches for the community, and it also stays out of our garbage. So I want to thank her for reaching out in another way to remind people. Mayor, you talked about CTO Day, but you didn't give a time and a date. Can we clarify that time and date list?
It's Monday the 23rd.
23rd, it's 7, right?
I don't know the time.
It's 7 o'clock. So, those people who like to watch the students in action, it is, right? It's 7 o'clock. So it's Monday, not Wednesday, and it's 7, not 7:30. So the kids usually do a great job. So if you want to watch the kids in action, please come and support them. Mayor, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. I forgot in my remarks, I do need a quick closed session. It shouldn't be long, but I need a quick closed session. Councilman Big.
Thank you. I'd like to send my condolences to Joe Ragnos' family also. Joe was nothing but a gentleman and someone you could always depend on when it came to our needs at this council. I'd also like to extend my condolences to Larry DeMayo's family. He was one of our councilmen years ago and an MUA commissioner and a very dear friend of mine. I received the Pompton Lakes Fire Department report for the month of February 2020 from the Fire Prevention Chief, Al Bruno. He reports 13 alarms in February and a total of 42 alarms for the year. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad report for the month of February from Chief Ken Arazi. There were 61 calls for the month, 29 in Pompton Lakes, 12 in Riverdale, 12 duty calls in Wanacue. There were 49 medical emergency calls, 6 trauma injury calls, 2 CPR calls, 1 motor vehicle accident call, and 1 fire call. I also attended the meeting that was run by the Board of Health and the Department of OEM and for first responders. It was very informative. This coming Monday, the Department of OEM will be Al Evangelist and myself, and I believe Danny Control is going to be there. And we'll be going to an OEM meeting in regards to the coronavirus situation.
And where they having that, in the county?
County, yeah, Fire County. I received the Pompton Lakes Police Department report for the month of February 2020 from Chief Derek Clark. There were 2,098 calls for service for the month of February. There were 740 motor vehicle stops, 699 summonses issued, 24 motor vehicle accidents investigated, 58 ambulance requests, 3 DWI arrests, 22 alarm conditions burglary, 2 alarm conditions fire, no burglary, 3 thefts, no sexual assaults, no aggravated assaults, and 3 domestic violence calls. The Detective Bureau investigated 24 complaints, served 11 subpoenas, 2 warrants, and conducted 8 background checks. I attended the Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition meeting on February 27th. Director Ashley Lusick reported that the pre-application for the DEC grant is due by April 3rd. Affinity Community Services presented the student survey report for 2019 on drug and alcohol in Pompton Lakes. Surveyed were students in 7th, 9th, and 11th grades. The report indicates the highest rates of use was in alcohol, 11%, e-cigarettes, 6.3%, and marijuana, 3.1%. Upcoming events for the Sticker Shop program is on April 4th. This will be, it's a program where we place stickers at the different taverns and liquor stores in town. It's worked with the Hawk Club, that young lady that we saw here tonight. Advertisements promoting underage drinking at the Coalition office is coming up on April 8th, at 7 p.m. Also, tips training at the Coalition office on May 9th at 7 p.m. And the Walk for Hope on May 30th at 9 a.m. at Hirschfield Park. I attended the Pompton Lakes Board of Education meeting on March 3rd. Superintendent Paul Amoroso reported that retired Pompton Lakes High School employee Dorothy Barrett has passed away. He sent the family their condolences. He also reported that retired teacher and coach Dennis Arnold is going to be inducted into the New Jersey High School Baseball Hall of Fame. He went on to congratulate two students, Patrick Mayer on becoming an Eagle Scout, and Jake Finello on being honored as Pompton Lakes High School representative for the Passaic County Board of Education Unsung Hero Award. Dr. Amoroso stated that the school district will be reviewing procedures for handling the coronavirus, and that he has also participated in a conference call with the Governor Murphy's office. The athletic department gave a report to the Board of Education. Eileen Allen on adoptive physical education, Jill Snyder on the work of the athletic trainer, and Patricia De La Monte on the activities of the school nurse. I also attended the Pompton Lakes Board of Education meeting on March 10th. Superintendent Paul Amoroso congratulated Nathan Armstrong on placing fifth in the 1600-meter race at the New Jersey State Track Meet. The Hawk Club at Pompton Lakes High School and Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition showed a 90-second Life is Worth Living, which you saw tonight at this council meeting. The film addresses stigma-free, you should not be ashamed to seek help. Dr. Amoroso outlined the plans that the district has developed to address the coronavirus. This includes how to address teaching students should the state close the school district. The board approved the appointment of Michael McCarthy as the principal of Lennox School on the retirement of Helen Tardo on August 3rd, 2020, and that's my report.
So we wish Helen good luck in her retirement, and I'm sure Mike will do a great job as principal over at Lennox. Also on Larry DeMayo's passing, he's a typical Pompton Lakes resident, was always involved in his community, in his town, was a councilman, was involved in all the sporting groups, and he's just a typical type of person who gets involved in Pompton. So it's another loss for us here in the borough. Okay, Councilman Devine.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start off by wishing my condolences to, first of all, Joe Regno and his family. The past couple of years, I was seeing where Terry is now, and I got to sit next to Joe, and I've worked with Joe quite a bit as part of the ordinance committee chair. Joe was a veteran, so he, kind of shared some stories about his military experience as well. And one thing that I always thought about was for a number of years until recently, I worked as a consultant for an engineering and planning company. And one of my companies I worked for had a motto where basically, when you were working for a municipality, they wanted the municipality to think of you as an extension of your staff. And I think Joe epitomized that. He probably even went well beyond that to the point where he was an institution of Pompton Lakes. He was, ubiquitous. He, as the mayor said, regardless of what condition he was in or what he had going on at the time, he always had, I think the thoughts of what's the best for Pompton Lakes, the mayor and the council, the residents, at heart about anything. So he's, it can't be understated how much of a hole he's leaving Pompton Lakes and all of us, him passing away. As far as Larry goes, again, my condolences to his family, or Larry DeMeo. He was, again, sort of that quintessential Pompton Lakes person who got involved in a number of things, and it became something else. And he was on the council, and he was on the MUA. He wasn't just a resident of Pompton Lakes. I mean, it was all part of him. And again, he was sort of what people think about when having the volunteerism and everything at Pompton Lakes. I mean, unfortunately, we're going to miss him as well. As to the rest of my report, as a number of people mentioned, we had a very informative presentation by Nick Agnoli, our CRS consultant, a couple weeks ago. Again, if you haven't seen it, and you could be affected by the change in the flood maps, please make sure to watch that on Channel 77 or our YouTube channel. Nick Agnoli's got a great way of distilling very complex information into something that is easily understandable and relatable. We will have that presentation up on our website shortly. We're just sort of waiting on him to, I think, make a few changes before putting it up. Earlier this week, the Shade Tree Commission met. Harmony Tree is now doing the prunings and removals, and based on the initial list, they have gotten quite a bit knocked out, so they seem to be doing well, up and running quite a bit. The commission also started talking about planning for Arbor Day coming up. The presentation is in April to the council. I think the essay contest starts April 4th or due April 4th or something along those lines. And again, it's Lenox, Lincoln, and St. Mary's Elementary will be participating in that. The commission did have a couple members of the public attend. One to request shade trees along Lincoln Avenue, and another homeowner on Mandeville Street, following up on a previous pruning request. I guess he's got a couple very large oaks. Yeah, 33. Yesterday, the Lake Restoration Committee met. The committee discussed the treatment plan for Pompton Lake in 2020, planning up the lake cleanup at the end of August, and other things that they were to accomplish this year. And finally, trail maintenance is going to be starting. Our first trail maintenance day is this Sunday, March 15th at 2 p.m. Meet at the back parking lot at Willow Field. Typically around this time, and unfortunately we didn't have nearly as much rainfall as we had around this time last year. A lot of it's garbage pickup and things like that during this time. So, bring gloves. We'll have garbage bags. Wear clothes and boots that you're okay with getting wet and muddy. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Great, thank you. One thing I forgot to report, I met with the religious groups, and on April 22nd, they would like to do an Earth Day walk, and they're asking all volunteer groups. I guess they're going to try to reach out to them if they'd like to be involved. It's going to start at 12:30 right here at Borough Hall, then go over to St. Mary's, and then to Christ Church, and then walk all the way down to Reformed Church, and they'll be reading poems from kids from all the different schools as they go. So if anybody's interested in doing that, just show up here on April 22nd at 12:30, and we'll take it from there. Councilman Giaconetta.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have to read this. I have a motion to approve request for Pompton Lakes Riverdale Little League, PLRLL, to conduct the annual parade that leaves the Pompton Lakes High School parking lot and marches through the business district to Grove Field Little League Complex near the south end of town for opening ceremony scheduled for Saturday, April 4th, 2020, starting at 12 p.m. During the parade, the police department will temporarily close route. Portion of this route include county roads. Please notify police, fire, and first aid. Do I have a second?
Have a second, please?
Second.
Council President Bennett, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Again, I just wanted to echo with the rest of the mayor and council on the passing of two people, Joe Ragnow, our borough attorney. And Joe was involved back in the 90s when I was on council in the 90s. Ken Petrie was our borough attorney at that time, and Joe was his partner. And Joe handled a lot of the negotiations with the borough employees, and I had the privilege on both sides, being on the council and being against them. When I was hired by the police department, I was the PBA representative. So, but Joe was always fair-minded and down-to-earth guy, and he always treated you with respect. And he's definitely gonna be missed by the borough. And Larry, I was back on council back in the 90s. He was on council at the time.
Well, you're really old.
And he was involved with the Republican Club, and a great guy with George Decker was our borough leader at that time, and other council, and he's definitely going to be missed too. And Larry worked for Verizon, retired there, and he worked, when I was at the police, he worked the records clerk for many years here at the borough, and he did a fine job there, and he was always good, and he was always Councilman Begg's lunch partner, and when they went out for lunch at the Cardinal, so I know he'd be dearly missed. But at least he joins Rich Fleischer. I know them two up in heaven, I'm sure, doing what they got to do up there, causing havoc. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, yeah, exactly. Also, I attended the Board of Health meeting. We had, the board did propose an ordinance, and the ordinance is an ordinance for the Borough of Pompton Lakes and the County of Passaic, amending Chapter 197 of the Sanitary Code for the Borough of Pompton Lakes, establishing a sewer disposal system. So in essence, what it does is it adds to our sanitary code pretty much the following. It adopts and enforces state regulations, brings us up to code, temporary sanitary facilities at construction sites, with anticipating more construction coming, construction or alterations permits required, construction and alteration permit fees, registration to engage in cleaning businesses, and approval by health officer or designee of engineers' designs. So there are a few things that are added new. They had their first reading, but I just want to bring it to your attention.
So they're going to review plans?
As far as the sanitary.
Oh, just sanitary.
Yeah, approval of an individual sewer disposal system shall not become
No,
effective.
the last thing you read.
Yeah, the last thing, approval by health officer or designee?
Yeah.
If you want, I can read that. Like I said, approval of individual sewer disposal system shall not become effective until the designated engineer provides 2 sealed as-built drawings and 2 sealed certificates of compliance to the Department of Health. The design engineer must provide the documents referred to in paragraph A within 30 days of the system backfilled. Should the engineer feel the engineer shall be subject to a penalty of $100 per day payable weekly to the Borough of Pompton Lakes for each day beyond 30 days that he or she has not provided the required documents as referred to in paragraph A. So in paragraph A, it shows different things they're required to do. So I guess it just added another layer to bring them involved with this tour at least. So this way they're involved in top of it. So this is something that was brought to an attorney to the board. They acted upon it, and they're bringing it, adding it to our code.
Okay.
All right, just so everybody's aware. All right, so that was the one thing. And Marion Appello did mention that she was going to have the meeting, which we all pretty much understand is attended with our OEM, with the chief of police, fire chief, the first aid squad, that everybody was in attendance. And also, too, our OEM piggybacked on, did a local emergency planning committee meeting, too, when that was done also. And that was to bring everybody up to speed as far as the OEM, too, with different things, along with the Councilman Begg, who was also part of that. So we did piggyback on both of those meetings. I thought it was productive, and everybody did a wonderful job on that, bringing everybody up to date. And then, again, we met with the CTO council and mayor counterparts tonight. They were going to stay, but they had a big volleyball tournament tonight that against all the other teams and the school faculty. So that's a big thing for a lot of the seniors, and that's why they ran out here. So that was going on, and they didn't want to miss that. And lastly, I'm glad Councilman Begg brought it up. I graduated in 1984, and Dennis Arnold was my coach for 4 years, and 3 of them I was a letter winner. And 2 of the years I was captain for the baseball team, and Dennis was my coach, and he was also my, I guess, gym teacher, along with Mr. Bartlett at the time. And he was a great guy, a great mentor. And even though he wasn't a tall stature guy, but boy, he had a lot of bark, I tell you that. I always would yell at you. I was probably twice his height, but whenever he yelled, yes, Mr. Arnold, yes, Mr. Arnold. But I'm glad to see that he's being recognized, because he was a great coach and definitely a great mentor, and a great all-around guy, and, wonderful with everybody, and, I'll never forget those times. So I'm glad Bill brought that up. I was gonna mention that, and congratulations to him, he's being recognized.
He often will come down to a football game here.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a nice honor. It's a great honor for this game.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, yes.
Okay, professional report. Our new attorney.
No report tonight.
Okay, no report. Minister's report.
Just a couple things, Mayor. Back on February 27th, Councilwoman Jackie Sherrill, our Congressman rather, held a meeting of the subcommittee of the environment. She's the chairwoman of the Congressional Subcommittee on the Environment. And her meeting was to deal with the flood maps and changes in the environment through climate change. And she asked for our input, and I know you gave her some information. And just recently we took the input we received from Joe Scupian, who was involved with Nick Agnoli to try to fight the flood map changes. And that's what we put onto the record as to our review of what the problems were, the changes of the potential evaluation from a steady flow model to an unsteady flow model. And that's all done when we put on the record. And Pompton Lakes, along with Montville, Lincoln Park, will also be included on the record relative to that particular hearing. I wish that gentleman was here and stayed relative to crosswalk safety, because we are applying for a federal highway grant, $20,000, which is a lot of money, to start. Hopefully we'll get it. We'll start in the fall to do more crosswalk and pedestrian safety. Also, one thing we mentioned to the gentleman is we adopted a complete streets policy, and as we do all of our work along the roads, we try to include pedestrian safety and traffic safety. The police department does a good job trying to curtail traffic, especially speeding on Washington Avenue. One of the problems you have is that you can't be everywhere all the time, and that's going to happen. Other things too is people realize that sometimes you see a car going fast, in reality, it's not. I mean, it's this perception thing. You're sitting down at the Cardinal, watching somebody sit by, who might have been doing 25, and you think he's doing 35. It's one of those perception things also. We're working very hard at that. As the mayor said, we're putting the capital budget to have some of these pedestrian lighted signs put in, and things of that nature. So that's something we are working on. As far as my report tonight, too, I have two actual things. I want to talk about, there was a memo I had from Lieutenant Capacchi relative to Lakeside Avenue and a new crossing guard position. And that was the memo he brought to the chief. And we also have a memo from the chief asking the council to approve that new position as a new full-time position. We're actually adding a new full-time body that is not the budget for it, but we'll have to accommodate going forward at that intersection. If the council has no issue, we'll then put the resolution on the meeting of the 25th, and then start the process of hiring a new crossing guard. So I just want to
Could you clarify which corner that is?
In front of the building.
Excuse me?
She's asking where.
Could you clarify which corner we're talking about? For the new crossing guard?
It's over, let me get the
It's Lakeside and
Colfax Avenue
Station.
specifically.
Okay.
Over by the new, because that's the problem. One of the problems is the way that complex is. You have some site distance issues and stuff like that.
And it's a tough corner, just in general.
That now adds to it a little bit more. And so the council has no issue. We'll have the resolution on next meeting to appoint that crossing guard.
So that's, you guys know that's 3-hour job, a day. It's the one I'm talking full-time, 3 hours a day.
Yes.
Just adding another crossing guard there, under the chief's request, and it makes sense.
We talked about the FEMA ordinance tonight. That ordinance, when adopted, will adopt the new flood maps. The ones that we spent a lot of time and money fighting are now going to be put in place as of April 17th. That being said, FEMA's having a training program that Sal's going to be going to. He's our floodplain manager on April 1st, and it's going to explain how you will review the ordinance and how it assimilates to day-to-day operation with residents and questions that might have relative to their property. So it's important to know too that those maps have been in place since 2015, and the DEP has been enforcing those maps relative to utilization in the towns since then. It has not been a
provided by FEMA or not, or the feds. We've been using those maps when it comes to regulations in the floodplain and the floodway, so now it's going to definitely be across the board going forward. In terms of Joe Ragg, I just want to say a couple of things. You don't really chime in on these kind of things, but Joe was a great guy. He was, as my wife wrote, he was an elegant man. And when he first got sick, we were talking in my office one day, and he said, my goal is to kick this can so far down the line that I can make it to 70. He just missed it. But I can tell you, he was in the hospital, and I went to see him, and I really was concerned that he wouldn't get out. He'd get out. But I can tell you, as the mayor said, he was calling people on the phone. He was using his phone to follow up on things as best he could, even in the hospital, in such as a incapacitated position. So he's going to be missed. He really is. He was a great guy and a great guy to the community. And Larry DeMayo, I've had many lunch with Larry at the Cardinal. He was a little Oscar the Grouch kind of guy with his baseball hat on, reading his New York Daily News. Big Yankee fan, but he'll be missed too. Larry was another great guy. He'll be missed too.
Okay, just to follow up on what you brought about, what the gentleman brought about parking tickets, I can tell you that our chief, that is one of the new chief that we have, is a new concern right now, and he is addressing any speeding in town, to the point where I have residents calling me now, telling me, why are our cops out all the time giving out tickets? So you can't win. You either have them complaining they're driving too fast, or now we're giving out too many tickets. But I can tell you, and I think anybody who's been driving through town has noticed more officers on the roads in visible situations. Rightly so. I mean, we all know, if you've been here a while, that Colfax was known as a road you did not speed on when you drove down here, because you would get a ticket. We maybe got away from that for a little while, and we're trying to get back to that. So, eventually I think we will be addressing it. One of the biggest concerns we have with downtown is people not using the crosswalks. They're just stepping out from a car in front, and, that's where an accident's going to happen. So the training that Councilman DeWine is talking about and our administrator is talking about educating the public on how to do this is the most important part right now, because even the kids, when we all know when they come out for lunch, probably not paying the most attention when they're crossing the streets. So we're trying to address that and get them to use the crosswalks. But speeding is a problem, and we are trying to address it. Any other questions from the administrator? Nope. Okay. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? That was everybody. Councilman Begg, Councilwoman Riker. All in favor? Aye. Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Go ahead. You want to go?
Randy Hitton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Just a question on Montclair Ave. When is that supposed to be started?
Trying to get Tilcon to give us a date. Well, we are working on trying to get a date from Tilcon. Hopefully as soon as the pavement season begins.
Okay, just curious. I ran across talking to Karen Murphy last year, and she expressed to me about the spruce trees down at Hirschfield, the tall pines that are right there as soon as you come into Hirschfield. The root system on those trees have broken the surface, and when she has summer camp there, she has issues with the kids tripping over those roots all the time. And she was wondering if there was anything I could do to maybe cut the roots, but the roots would kill the trees. And I had brought it up, all due respect to Mr. Ragno. I've had a lot of respect for him since I've been coming to these council meetings, and I felt compelled to go to his wake the other day and show my respects. He will be sorely missed. And while I was there, I talked to Councilman Begg and Mr. Merrill as to an idea who else I could talk to about what we could do. We're going to be removing 1, 2, 3 trees in that park area, and we're going to be pruning 2. I didn't know that if we could just dump those wood chips over those roots to alleviate the problem for Miss Murphy, or who I could talk to about it.
I don't see any problem. You are guiding that group. If you guys feel as a group that that's something you can do, I don't think wood chips are going to hurt anybody over there. That's our property. It's not the schools. Correct. So I would be all for the wood chips myself, unless someone has a concern with that.
I just didn't, when we were talking about the commission meeting, I didn't know if there would be any floodplain issues.
Being it's in a floodway, I don't know. I'm not that well versed.
I mean, I guess
this is Venon, or
I don't know.
We have cinders and stuff down by the dog park. I mean, It is what it is, I'm saying, I mean.
All right, so I'm going to say, go ahead, let's do that. That's fine.
Well, I'm just bringing up the issue, you know, I just want to know who to talk to. I just don't want to go ahead on my own accord and dump a load of wood chips there and then have it be a problem.
Yeah,
There's a lot of aeration that you have with that.
I know Karen has brought it to my attention too, and we took a little walk down there, and, it's a lot of older trees, as you know, down
Correct.
there. So it's not like we're going to clear out that whole area there.
Right.
So the worst ones, if we're taking down some of them, I'm hoping those have the roots that are coming up also, right? Or not?
Well, no, the two trees that we're taking, one is right on the river, one is a big, huge oak right by the swing set. Two are being pruned behind the swing set.
Oh, so we're not taking
And
any
one
of
to
them.
the right of the swing set is being removed. No, we're not taking those spruces down.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave it to Kevin, but maybe, Kevin, we should just reach out. If we reach out to the DP, they're going to tell us no. I'm sure of that.
Well, I don't know, but that's what you're saying, wood chips. They're concerned about things that are going to stop the flow of water. Wood chips will just go with the flow of water.
Or it's going to add to the.
All right, so are we going to give just an okay on that then?
So can I throw something out there just that might be of concern, right, that just came up? I'm worried that could be potentially making a bigger tripping hazard, because if you're concealing the route, that's not necessarily discouraging somebody to walk adjacent to the tree. They might just think it's a pile of wood chips and not realize there's a root there, and next thing you know, they're tripping on the root that they couldn't see in the first place. So something to keep in mind.
Well, it would be high enough to cover over the roots.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that's not going to, if they step on the wood chips, that's not necessarily going to keep them from compacting the wood chips and then still tripping over the root in the first place.
Well, that's why I just wanted to bring it up, run it by you guys to see who would be best to talk to about it.
He's telling me to talk to me.
I'm saying the administrator.
All right, and I will talk to Dan O'Rourke also. He had mentioned that sometimes in the flood area, you have to have approved wood chips. I'm not sure about that.
I don't think you have to have approved, but there is some issue, because we had an issue with on Wanacue area there. Some guy wanted to put a landscaping yard back there and had wood chips in piles, and the DEP said he couldn't pile the wood chips there because they would get into the river, flow down during a flood, and back up somewhere else. But those were piles. I mean, you're not talking about piles, you're talking about some on the ground.
Right, well, what I would want to talk to Dan O'Rourke about is that the tree harmony would dump the wood chips there, but they're not going to rake them out. If we can get Dan O'Rourke to have DPW guys rake them out.
Yeah, you could always have that conversation with Dan, too, and ask him.
Okay, so I will have that conversation with him. And just to clarify, the minutes of the meetings when I speak at this podium, not all my words are written in.
I would go to our attorneys. I don't know.
That's just,
No, it's in verbatim.
And I'll go to our attorney. Do we have to put in there?
No, only as the clerk correctly noted, only the actions of the board actually need to be placed in the minutes. It's the exception to the rule where the public comments are put in the minutes to the extent they are here.
Okay. Well, there's your answer.
wow. Well, then I guess I have to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having them at all.
I am so nice to you. I don't know why, but I am so nice to you.
It amazes me.
Step up. Actually, okay, go ahead. You'll come next.
Joe Antitola again, Walnut Street. In reference to Randy's comment about the monitor, since that monitor gets a feed, why can't you ask your video tech to use a patch cord to take the feed from the monitor, send it to the camera feed with a split screen?
Because we don't have, it's not a camera feed. There's three parties involved. There's people that handle Channel 77, then there's Cablevision, and then there's another middle group. What's that other group?
Don't you have the video techs that take what the camera sees and converts it to the TV, and then that's what you see on TV?
No. There's three steps involved. It gets downloaded to a disk, then uploaded to a program, and then from the program put over to our channel.
So why can't you take the feed of the monitor and download it on the disk and then let Channel 77 do it?
The feed's on a program on a hard drive over there. It doesn't work that way. And it gets uploaded to the computer. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. You might want to change it.
Yeah, I noticed that myself. Again, I'm not tall enough.
Randy, I'm going to throw you under the bus. If you go down Barber Drive on DuPont/Chemours side, with opposite of the houses, starting right from the last house on the left, as soon as you go like about 50 feet down, a lot of trees snapped that are on their property, went over the fence and are hung up or laying on the fence, and they're not like twigs, they're like 5, 6, 7-inch branches. Right where the parking lot is, that used to be for the soccer field, a tree actually snapped and fell into a live tree and got caught there. And it's like, it's hanging there like that. I talked to Randy about it. He went and saw it in December. This is now the middle of March, and none of this has been addressed. And you got even part of the fence, one of the trees fell down and crushed their fence. Apparently Kenmore's came out and removed that one tree, but there's like, got to be close to 10 trees snapped and fell over from their property that should be removed. So if it's their issue, maybe you should reach out to them. But the tree that fell over and is hung up, that's town property. That's why I
can tell you this, again, and look, this is the last time I'll be doing this on this from up here, but I can tell you that the Shade Tree Commission is a very dedicated group of people, and Randy especially spends a lot of time in doing what he has to do there. If it's something that he thought was an issue, I mean, we're lucky to have a Shade Tree Commission do what they do. So if there is a problem, I'm sure Randy will take a look at that with the Shade Tree Commission, and if there's a problem that we need to remove that tree, if he thinks so, then we will. The ones that you're talking about coming from the DuPont property is another ballgame.
That would be their issue.
That would be their issue, and we can always, if you see that, Randy, then let us know.
I'll ride by again.
Yeah, well, if we see that their trees are laying across on our property, then they have to remove them, yes.
Yeah, they went over the fence.
Yeah, so that's something we can definitely work on.
When you had the lake restoration, they made new sidewalks all the way down to where they load the boats. If you go down Lakeside and you look at where the pumping station is for the MUA, there's a sidewalk break for people to cross the street. When they put the guardrails in, they used fan ends, and they fan out like that. Well, the sidewalk drop, the curb drop, is like 4 feet wide, but with the ends of the guardrail, the path is this much for you to go through. So you actually have to turn sideways and skinny through. A child can end up cutting their leg, or an adult, a mother with a stroller can't get through it. I guess if that was Kenmore's, maybe you could address that and say they should take the ends off and use different ends to open up the drop to the full width that they made.
So just by chance, we are in the process of putting some real money into that park and redoing that whole area there, maybe even adding sidewalks and a floating dock and things like such. That'll be discussed tomorrow at the open space. I will remind the open space about what you said, and it's something they could address while they're working down there.
Because they did that was part of their project. They did all that work. The town didn't do anything. So it's just a simple fix of mechanical things. The town made some ordinances. Basically, one of them, I think you remember a few years ago, was an ordinance that you can't have a portable basketball backboard on the street or the apron. Since that ordinance went into effect, nobody's actually enforcing it.
No, we find people actually on it.
Well, if you go through the northern section of the town, there's like 10 of these sitting there. One was actually in the street last year, and the snow plow came down. Normally, when the plow comes, they tell the people get it out. The plow truck had the mirror ripped off, and I found this out from DPW supervisor. So that should be addressed you drive through, and there's like 6 of them, I could tell you off the bat, they put them in the street.
All right, so the way I have to explain that is, we are not proactive or reactive with our building department. It's a part-time employee. He does not go around driving around the town looking for issues. If a resident calls and says, by the way, there's a basketball hoop in the street, then he will go take a look at that.
But what a lot of towns do also is that the police department, as the policemen are cruising the streets, they stop a basketball. Let me knock on the door. That's a violation. You want to move it, or the town's going to issue you a ticket.
Yeah, can you bring that to the chief?
Okay. Now, another issue is...
Run out of time, so keep going.
You came out with an ordinance for no parking any commercial trucks on the street for overnight. Well, actually, that's in conflict with another ordinance that's already on the books. Because when you came out with the ordinance, and I read it, nowhere in the ordinance did it say it supersedes anyone that's prior. The other ordinance that's normally in all the towns, is no commercial truck can be parked in a residential area over 10,000 pounds. You just made a new ordinance that says all commercial vehicles. The other issue is, in the ordinance, you have to post signs at the entrances to all the entrances to the town for that regulation to be used. If a police...
Who's saying you have to post a sign?
That's the state.
Well, let me explain that too. Unfortunately, Joe is in the process of working on those two ordinances right now as we were talking, and one of the things was addressing the 10,000 pound question that you brought up. So that will be continued as we move forward. I don't know anything about the state regulation of the signs. I don't know anything about that one.
Because in court, if you say, here's the ordinance, the driver of the vehicle can say, I was never told that I can't do that. If you post the signs at the entrance of the town, all the entrances, it says no commercial vehicle parking residential overnight. Now they can't say, I didn't know.
All right, so we'll have an attorney look into that. Okay, thank you. That's about it. You're done.
One last thing.
Real quick.
Okay. The new apartment building, they put up street lights on Lakeside. Right by the post office where their driveway is, apparently they put the last street light. Apparently, their lights are about 3 feet taller than the Wanacue lights are. So where the light was supposed to go, the head was going to hit the phone cable. So they got the brainstorm idea of putting the light in the middle of the sidewalk. So you have less than the width of this to walk through, which is now a stroller can't go through, a person with a wheelchair can't go through. The light pole needs to be moved back to where it's on the other side of the telephone pole where it won't be an issue.
I'll send my building department to take a look at it tomorrow. Thank you.
No, I just wanted to clarify that.
You
Monday morning, it's from 8:30 to 12 when public elected officials are welcome. I thought I brought that out at the meeting the other day.
Okay.
Elected officials are invited.
Okay.
We talked about the tabletop exercise.
Yeah, Okay.
Right, so I thought I said that, but apparently I did.
That's all you had?
I apologize, that's it.
Okay. Anyone else from the public would like to address? Seeing no one, a motion to close the public session.
So moved.
Council President Venin, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor. Anybody opposed to the floor?
Quick thing, I forgot in my report to just, since spring is coming, could you please secure those ice cream coupons again for the police to give out to the homeless? Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn into closed session. So moved. Councilman Giaconetti, Council President Venin. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
I just gotta see it, yeah.
Yes. Well, hold on, she's got to turn this on.
No, we're not taking a place
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay, in closed session, we talked about negotiation of the project. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. So moved.
Council President Venin, Councilman Giaconetti, all in favor?
Good job.